Something huge just happened in the US auto market, and Chevy is at the center of it. A shocking $10,000 discount on brand new Silverado trucks just got exposed, and it's sending shockwaves through dealerships nationwide. Silverado owners are absolutely furious, buyers are confused, and GM, they're scrambling for answers. This isn't just a sale. This looks like a panic move, and the story behind it reveals how deep the trouble inside Chevrolet really goes. Here's what just went down. Chevrolet quietly rolled out massive $10,000 discounts on select Silverado 1500 models across the US, especially on 2024 inventory that's been piling up for months. Some dealers are calling it a factory incentive, others are calling it a fire sale. But either way, this is one of the steepest markdowns we've ever seen from GM on a mainstream full-size pickup. And it's not because Chevy suddenly became generous. See, this all started when reports surfaced showing dealership lots overflowing with unsold Silverado trucks. Inventory levels hit record highs, with some lots holding over 200 days worth of unsold trucks. That's far beyond the healthy range automakers aim for. Why? Because sales have slowed to a crawl. Many buyers have backed off as interest rates remain sky high, monthly payments cross $1,000, and competitors like Ford and Ram slash prices to fight for the same shrinking market. But here's where things get ugly. Silverado owners who bought their trucks earlier this year at full price are now watching the same vehicles being discounted by 10 grand overnight. Their resale values just tanked. Imagine paying $65,000 for a truck only to see the same model listed for $54,000 a few months later. That's not a deal. That's a disaster for owners who thought they were making an investment. And now, thousands are venting their anger online, calling out Chevy for betraying loyal customers just to move unsold stock. So why did Chevy do it? Well, the company is facing a perfect storm. Sluggish demand, rising inventory, and slowing production, all hitting at once. GM has been struggling with supply chain issues, especially for certain components tied to their hybrid and EV transitions. Meanwhile, new truck buyers are hesitant. Many are waiting for the 2025 refresh or switching brands altogether. And Chevy's dealers can't move what's already sitting on the lot. This $10,000 discount wasn't about generosity. It was a desperate move to clear space. And the scandal is that Chevy never warned existing customers this was coming. Dealers were told to quietly push these discounts before the next shipment arrives, leading many to believe this was a cover-up to protect the brand's image. But now, with the news out, that strategy has completely backfired. And the reaction from dealerships? Absolute chaos. Some dealers are thrilled to finally move stagnant inventory, but others are fuming. They've been sitting on expensive trucks for months, and these sudden markdowns are destroying their margins. Buyers who recently purchased are demanding compensation or trade-in adjustments. Others are flooding dealerships with calls, trying to negotiate even lower prices, convinced Chevy is hiding more markdowns. The bigger question, though, is why Chevy's sales have slowed this much in the first place. The Silverado used to be America's go-to workhorse, but lately customers have noticed rising prices, questionable quality control, and stiff competition from brands like Toyota and even Ram, who've been aggressively modernizing their truck lineups. Add to that GM's focus shift toward EVs, leaving some traditional truck fans feeling ignored, and it's clear Chevy's core audience is starting to drift away. Production slowdowns are adding fuel to the fire. GM has quietly cut back production at several plants, citing market adjustments, but insiders claim it's because dealers are refusing more inventory until current models sell. It's a dangerous cycle, and too many trucks, not enough buyers, and plummeting confidence in the brand. And yet, for new buyers, this chaos might look like opportunity. People are lining up thinking they're getting an insane deal. But many don't realize what's really happening behind the scenes. Because these massive discounts aren't sustainable. They signal something far worse for Chevy's financial health and future truck strategy. And that's where the real story begins. Because this $10,000 discount may look like a win for buyers today, but in reality, it's a warning shot for what's coming next. When an automaker starts slashing prices this deep, it means one thing: trouble is brewing behind closed doors. Chevy's leadership knows they're sitting on too many trucks, and Wall Street analysts are starting to question just how bad the problem really is. Here's the catch. Discounts like this don't just hit short-term profits. They destroy brand perception. Silverado was once positioned as a premium workhorse. Dependable, strong and worth every penny. But now, people are starting to associate it with overproduction and desperation. Buyers are beginning to ask, if Chevy can take off $10,000 overnight, what was the real value of this truck in the first place? That kind of doubt spreads fast, and it's already hurting confidence in the entire Chevy lineup, from the Colorado to the Tahoe. And then comes the resale value crisis. Owners who paid full sticker price are watching their trucks lose thousands of dollars in value. Instantly. Used Silverados are flooding the market because owners are trading in or trying to dump their trucks before prices crash further. This ripple effect is hitting dealerships hard. They're drowning in both new and used inventory, and floor plan costs, the loans dealers use to finance their stock, are skyrocketing due to higher interest rates. The result? Some Chevy dealerships are now sitting on millions of dollars in unsold metal, bleeding cash every single day. Meanwhile, GM is in full damage control mode. The company's PR team is spinning this as a strategic realignment to support customers and balance supply with demand. But internally, reports suggest a very different picture. Insiders say GM underestimated how fast the truck market would cool off in 2025, especially after years of inflated pandemic pricing. Consumers simply can't afford $70,000 trucks anymore, and Chevy's cost structure hasn't adjusted fast enough. The $10,000 discounts are just a bandage on a much deeper wound. But what really sparked panic among Chevy owners was how sudden and secretive this move was. No advance warning, no gradual rollout, just overnight markdowns popping up across the country. Owners took to social media calling it a stab in the back. Forums are filled with posts from Silverado buyers demanding rebates, trade-in relief, or class action. Many are accusing Chevy of devaluing their investment to bail out corporate mistakes, and while Chevy faces backlash, buyers are reacting in two extremes. Some are jumping in to grab a new truck before prices shoot back up, while others are holding out convinced even deeper cuts are coming. This creates chaos at the retail level. Nobody knows when or where the next discount bomb will drop. Dealers are begging GM for clarity, but they're getting silence. Just vague promises of inventory realignment. The bigger concern now is what this means for Chevy's future lineup, especially as the automaker transitions toward electrification. If GM can't maintain stability in its bread-and-butter truck segment, how will it handle the shift to EV trucks like the Silverado EV? Investors are worried, dealers are worried, and the American truck market, once Chevy's stronghold is starting to slip away. But here's the twist. While some analysts believe this entire move was a strategic play to corner Ford and Ram. By slashing Silverado prices first, Chevy might be forcing competitors to respond, triggering a truck price war that could reshape the entire market. If that's true, then this discount scandal isn't just desperation. It's a calculated gamble with billion-dollar consequences. And yet, even if that's the plan, it's a dangerous one. Because if Ford and Ram hold their ground while Chevy keeps cutting, GM could burn through profits faster than they can recover. The Silverado might win short-term headlines, but at the cost of long-term brand trust. And that's where the cracks inside GM start to show, because while the public sees a limited-time $10,000 discount, behind the scenes, this move is bleeding GM's bottom line. Insiders are calling it a controlled burn, meaning Chevy knows they're taking losses on every discounted truck, but they're doing it anyway just to keep the assembly lines from shutting down completely. The company's financial department reportedly warned executives that sustained discounting like this could wipe out hundreds of millions in profit by year's end. And Wall Street has noticed. Analysts are slashing forecasts, warning that GM's aggressive price cuts could trigger an earnings collapse. Investors are worried not just about the Silverado, but about what this means for GM's future strategy. If the company has to discount its best-selling vehicle this heavily, what does that say about demand for its upcoming EV lineup? Some analysts are even whispering that GM's truck business, once its cash cow, is now turning into a liability. Inside the company, the mood isn't much better. Dealership executives and regional managers are furious. They claim they weren't given enough notice or support to handle the flood of angry customers demanding rebates or trade-in credits. And if those rumors turn out to be true, things are about to get even darker for Chevy. Because according to multiple insiders, GM's next move could be to temporarily shut down some of its truck assembly lines. Not because of supply issues this time, but because of oversupply. That's right. The very plants that once ran 24/7 to meet skyrocketing demand are now being forced to slow down production to prevent an even bigger inventory disaster. Sources inside GM say executives have been quietly discussing production alignment measures, which is corporate code for planned shutdowns and shift reductions. The target? Silverado and Sierra plants in Michigan and Indiana, the core of GM's truck empire. These pauses might start small, maybe just a few weeks at a time, but they could ripple through the entire supply chain, impacting thousands of workers, parts suppliers, and local economies that depend on those plants. And while GM calls it inventory control, dealership insiders are calling it what it really is: panic management. They're drowning in unsold trucks, and with the 2025 models already being teased, customers are waiting instead of buying. Every extra day, those 2024 Silverados sit unsold. Their value sinks even lower. So rather than flood the market even more, Chevy might choose to choke its own production just to stop the bleeding. But that's not all. The next phase of this crisis might be even more controversial: fleet dumping. Reports suggest GM could start offloading thousands of unsold Silverados to rental companies, government fleets, and corporate buyers at heavily discounted prices. It's a move that helps GM clear inventory quickly, but it comes with a brutal cost. It destroys brand value. Flooding the market with cheap fleet trucks means used values will crash even faster, and Silverado's image as a premium work truck could evaporate overnight. Fleet dumping is like a sugar rush for automakers. A quick burst of numbers to make sales look healthy, but once the high wears off, the market is left in chaos, and that's exactly what Chevy's competitors are hoping for. Because if Chevy starts dumping, Ford and Ram can sit back and let GM devalue itself. Once Silverado prices collapse, every future Chevy truck will have to compete at that lower baseline, permanently. Meanwhile, Chevy's marketing team is scrambling. They're trying to distract from the scandal with talk of new tech, next-gen interiors, and trailering innovation. But buyers aren't listening. The headlines about discounts, angry owners, and overflowing lots have already done the damage. Online forums, TikTok videos, and YouTube reviews are flooded with one question: is Chevy in trouble? And the more people ask that, the worse the perception gets. Dealers are feeling the heat too. Many are pressuring GM to provide financial relief, asking for rebates, advertising funds, or floor plan assistance to survive the storm. Some smaller dealerships are warning they might not make it through the year if things don't turn around soon. They've got rows of unsold Silverados, expensive loans to pay, and customers demanding even steeper deals. It's a no-win situation. And yet, despite the chaos, there are whispers that GM's top brass believes this is a necessary correction, that the short-term pain will reset the market for future success. But critics argue that's wishful thinking, because once trust and resale value collapse, rebuilding them takes years. Ford learned that the hard way during its own discount wars a decade ago, and now Chevy seems to be walking down the same dangerous path. But there's another layer to this story, one that could be the most explosive yet. Some insiders believe GM's financial strain from the truck slowdown could force the company to delay or scale back its upcoming EV launches, including the much-hyped Silverado EV and Sierra EV. If that happens, it could derail GM's entire electric transition strategy. The same strategy they've been promising investors for years, because if GM has to choose between keeping the truck factories alive or funding the EV revolution, the company could find itself stuck, unable to do either effectively. And that's when competitors like Tesla, Rivian, and even Ford could swoop in and steal the future of the American pickup right from under Chevy's nose. This isn't just a pricing scandal anymore, it's turning into a full-blown identity crisis for GM, one that could reshape not only its future, but the future of America's truck market altogether. And this is where things really start to unravel, because GM's entire EV strategy is now colliding headfirst with the fallout from the Silverado discount disaster. For years, Chevy has been hyping the Silverado EV as the future of American trucking, promising it would combine the toughness of a gas truck with cutting-edge electric technology. Because right now, the truck market is frozen. Dealers can't move inventory, buyers are confused and cautious, and with Chevy slashing prices, it's sending a dangerous message to anyone considering the upcoming Silverado EV. Wait, the price might drop later. That kind of buyer hesitation kills early adoption. Why would anyone pay a premium for a first-generation EV truck when gas models are being handed out with five-figure discounts? It's a messaging nightmare, and Chevy knows it. Marketing teams have reportedly been told to downplay Silverado EV launch timelines and focus on value-driven communication instead. In plain English, they're trying to steer attention away from the electric side until the smoke clears. But the damage is already done. Rivian, Tesla, and Ford are moving fast, and Chevy's hesitation could push it right out of the EV truck race before it even begins. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, GM's financial department is making brutal decisions. Sources close to the situation say budget freezes have already hit several EV programs. Supplier payments are being delayed. Hiring for battery production and software teams has slowed to a crawl. GM insists this is strategic cost management, but insiders know it's survival mode. The Silverado discounts didn't just cost money, they shattered the financial foundation GM was counting on to fund its electric pivot. And as that financial pressure builds, morale across the company is slipping. Engineers and designers who've spent years working on Chevy's EV lineup are frustrated, watching priorities shift week by week. Factory workers in traditional truck plants are anxious about their future. Many fear that temporary slowdowns could turn into permanent layoffs if the EV delays stretch too long. But the scariest part? Wall Street can smell the fear. GM's stock is sliding. Analysts are calling the Silverado discount scandal a canary in the coal mine. They see a company trapped, too invested in gas trucks to move forward, but too financially stretched to fully embrace EVs. It's a dangerous limbo, and investors know that once consumer confidence erodes, it takes years to rebuild. Even loyal Chevy customers are beginning to question the brand's direction. Truck forums are filled with comments like, "Does Chevy even know what it wants to be anymore?" Some are jumping ship entirely, switching to Ford or Ram, who at least appear more stable. Others are holding off altogether, waiting for prices, or the company itself, to settle. And that's the real danger here. Once buyers lose faith in a brand, no discount in the world can buy it back. And that's exactly where the story takes its sharpest turn. Because GM's struggle with Silverado discounts isn't just hurting their gas-powered truck lineup, it's bleeding directly into their EV future. Insiders are saying the ripple effect from these $10,000 markdowns is threatening to derail the company's massive investment into electric trucks, particularly the Silverado EV, which was supposed to be the crown jewel of GM's next generation. Behind closed doors, GM executives are now facing an impossible choice. Continue pouring billions into EV development while the traditional truck business collapses, or shift focus back to gas and hybrids to stabilize revenue, even if it means delaying their electric revolution. This internal tug-of-war has created a quiet but intense power struggle inside GM. The EV division wants to keep pushing forward with long-term innovation, while the truck and finance teams are screaming for short-term survival. It's chaos. Engineers are reporting project slowdowns, suppliers are getting mixed signals, and investors are getting restless. Wall Street was told the Silverado EV would be GM's breakout product, but now even that's in question. Because if Chevy can't sell its bread-and-butter gas trucks without massive discounts, what hope does it have of selling a $75,000 electric version to a market already stretched thin by inflation and rising loan rates? Meanwhile, the public perception is shifting fast. Truck buyers, the backbone of GM's profits, are losing confidence. Many of them still prefer gas engines, but they now see Chevy as unstable, a brand caught between two worlds, unsure whether it's building trucks for the job site or the showroom. The once clear message of "Built for America" has turned into confusion and doubt. Dealers are feeling that confusion firsthand. Some are telling GM they can't even sell the few Silverado EVs they've received. Buyers either can't afford them or don't trust the new tech. Others are begging for hybrid models to compete with Ford's F-150 Power Boost and Toyota's Tundra iForce Max. GM, however, is stuck. They went all in on full EVSS, skipping the hybrid bridge that their competitors used to stay profitable. Now that bet is looking riskier by the day.